Okay, everyone, so the most recent episode of the Boruto anime has just been released, and after watching it, I realized that I definitely do want to talk about this. And I know that I haven't talked about the Boruto anime in a while, but that's only because nothing really happened in some of the more recent episodes that I thought were interesting, at least to me, enough to actually make a video where I actually talk about it. But this episode had something in it that I do definitely want to talk about. And I know that may seem a bit weird considering this is an episode that focuses on characters like Denki and Tsubaki. And somehow this episode is worth talking about, but not the episode before that. Believe it or not, yes, because the previous episode, other than having some really good animation, nothing in it happened that really made me interested enough to actually talking about it. To actually talk about it, excuse me. But this episode definitely piqued my interest, and I do definitely want to talk about it. So I'm mostly going to focus on the fight between Denki and Tsubaki, since that is the main focus of the episode, and what the actual fight was telling us without, outright stating to us, the audience. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about some of the other things that happened in this episode after that. But let me get through the actual fight first. So the fight between Tsubaki and Denki is the very last fight in the Chuunin exams, and this episode is also the very last episode of the arc, and I think in the next episode we're going to be going into a brand new story. And the fight ends with Denki winning, basically, and he does end up getting promoted to Chuunin. Now, to me, this does actually make sense. I know a lot of people are not all that favorable when it comes to Denki. I completely understand that. I personally couldn't care less about the characters. Same thing with Tsubaki. Same thing with a lot of the characters in the new gen. I'm not really all that into the characters, and I think there's probably a lot of people out there who share my sentiments when it comes to the new gen. Although, let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think of Denki or Tsubaki. Do you like them? Do you hate them? Do you couldn't care less? Let me know that in the comments. But the thing that I liked about this fight, or what was told to us through this fight without outright, telling us, is that when you go into a fight completely overconfident, and this is the case with Tsubaki. I'm going to talk about Denki in a bit. When it comes to Tsubaki, I liked that what was told to us is that you cannot go into a fight completely overconfident thinking that you already have the match won, because it will end up working against you. And this is something that I have tried to say over and over and over again in previous videos. When you look at certain fights in the Naruto franchise, you can't just look at their stats and what they could do. There are other things that go into a fight. For example, a lot of people still think that Night Guy is stronger than Madara, when that is not the case at all. If you remember, Madara was not taking the fight seriously. I have tried to say this over and over again. When you go into a fight not taking it seriously, it will end up working against you. And again, this is something that does happen in this episode with Tsubaki. She went into the fight thinking, okay, well, this guy Denki is not really all that much of a threat. I pretty much have the fight won. Look what ended up happening. She ended up losing. She even acknowledges it after the fight is over, that I underestimated him and it ended up costing me. So let's talk about Denki for a second, because I do like what was told to us with him. So Denki, we've known for a while that he is someone, when it comes to being a shinobi, he's not really all that impressive. Like, he's barely able to do ninjutsu. He pretty much sucks at taijutsu. So he went into the fight thinking, okay, I need to build something that actually helps me compensate for the areas that I lack. So help me with taijutsu, basically help me with my physical strength, and help me with my ninjutsu. And so he ends up building that basically Iron Man-esque suit that he was using, including the visor. Which the visor, by the way, I want to talk about for a second. It's revealed to us that this visor allows him to predict his opponent's movements. And Sarada even makes the comments that it's a lot like the Sharingan. However, just like with the Sharingan, it also has its limits, because once that visor gets destroyed, then that ability immediately gets taken away from him. Just like how with the Sharingan, it has its limits to where, okay, yes, you can predict your opponent's movements, but if your body isn't quick enough to react to them, then it doesn't matter. And also, one of the other, just like with the visor, if your Sharingan gets destroyed, you basically lose that ability. We've already seen that happen once. We don't need to talk about that again. So yeah, his visor gets destroyed, and his ninja tech starts overheating. And Denki even realizes that I made a mistake. Think I should have ended the fight sooner, and now my scientific ninja tech is not operating as well as it could have been. And Tsubaki even tries to use that to her advantage, but Denki even thinks about that, and he ends up baiting her into an attack, which she falls for, and then he uses ninjutsu in order to finish the fight. And he reveals that just because I'm not good at ninjutsu doesn't mean I can't use them, which is very, very important. And to me, what I like that was told to us here through Denki is that moving forward, if you're someone who, let's say, is lacking in ninjutsu, you can make up for it with scientific ninja tech. But the problem is that you also can't solely rely on scientific ninja tech. You have to try to rely on both. You need to rely on ninjutsu and you need to rely on scientific ninja tech. In order to get, you need a perfect balance basically. And this theme we've seen happen in the Naruto series before. For example, back in the Chuunin exams, if you remember, at the end of the first stage, the Forest of Death, you had that moment where Iruka was talking to Team 7 and he was trying to tell them that a warrior or a shinobi needs to have a good balance of mind and body. He can't focus on one or the other. It's only when you have a perfect balance between the two that you can basically live up to the fullest of your capabilities. And I think that's the same thing is going to apply to scientific ninja tech. You can't rely on one or the other. You have to rely on both. You need a perfect balance between the two. And with Denki, we sort of saw that here. You could say he relied a little bit too much on scientific ninja tech, but he did end up making up for it in the heat of battle. He had that quick thinking that you kind of need in a Chuunin to be able to come up with decisions on the fly. And I do think that's why it was right for him to get promoted to Chuunin at the end, which he does get promoted to Chuunin. Tsubaki loses, and other characters also get promoted to Chuunin, like Hoki, the Kakashi wannabe, and then you have Sarada, and then the cat girl whose name I'm forgetting, which nobody gives a shit about. Which, by the way, now that I've brought that up, I want to talk about that, which is probably my only real gripe about the episode. And not just the episode, but just the overall arc, because they changed something which I don't really like. So they made it clear that the people who won get promoted to Chuunin. Now, the reason why I don't like this is because when it comes to the Chuunin exams, one of the things that made it interesting and sort of different from other tournament arcs is that it doesn't matter whether you win or lose. All that matters is your performance. And we saw that in the previous exam, the Forest of Death, where you had Boruto, who didn't pass, who didn't make it who didn't make it out of the forest before the time limit, and you think, okay, well, he would fail, but then no, they still passed him because it was his performance. So why didn't that apply to this part of the exam? Because it applied before. Remember, Shikamaru gave up against Tamari, but he still got promoted because they liked his performance. But here they completely changed it to where, oh no, if you win, you get promoted to Chuunin. And I didn't like that, if I'm being honest. Let me know in the comments if I'm the only one. Did you like that change, or did you don't really, or do you just not care either way? So yeah, those are my thoughts on that. And oh yeah, Boruto, Mitsuki get disqualified, whatever. They have a sort of pseudo match at the end, which nobody really cares about. I'm sure some people will care about, but personally, I don't really care about who's stronger between the two or whatever. So anyway, I'm gonna end this video right here, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What did you think about the fight between Denki and Tsubaki? Do you agree with me on some of the points that I brought up about how Tsubaki, one of the reasons why she lost is that she was overconfident, and that Denki relied on both ninjutsu and scientific ninja tech, and he also had that quick thinking that people look for when it comes to a Chuunin, being able to make decisions on the fly. Do you agree with me on all of that, or do you think I'm just reading too much into it? Let me know all of that in the comment section down below. Remember to leave a like, share the video, subscribe if you haven't, make sure to ring the bell for notifications, and I'll talk to you when there's another episode that actually interests me enough to talk about it. Bye for now.